Ishara nimeresha OET. Wabunge waliodai kuwa wenzao walipata hongo ili kutupilia mbali ripoti ya sukari iliyokuwa imeandaliwa na kamati maalum ya bunge wamefika mbele ya kamati maalum ya bunge ikiongozwa na spika wa bunge Justin Muturi kuthibitisha madai yao. Baadhi yao waliomba radhi isipokuwa tu wabunge Didmus Barasa wa Kimilili na Geofrey Odanga wa Matayos ambao walisisitiza kwamba waliwaona wabunge wakipokea rushwa.
Mambo haya wewe unanuklua vilivyo ama sivyo?
The Honorable John Waluke, Member of Parliament, Sirisia. We even protested together. And as to whether it was done in a private place or in a plenary in public, yes, it was in public, in a plenary. In fact, where we were sitting, there is a CCTV camera just on top of our head, which I think it can be reviewed. The only person I saw Fatuma Geri also try to bribe, and I knew it from the protest, was Honorable John Waluke.
Thank you.
And he said that that indeed the lady offered her 10,000 on a blue envelope, which I did not witness. I don't know about it. And I told him, I even asked him, why did you refuse the money? And he said that it was little. And then I asked him if it was, suppose it was more, and how much did you expect if the rate was offered to you? And he said 100.
Was he joking? Was he joking or it was...
I don't know, because as a member of parliament, you cannot joke on something like this. So I don't know. He said if it was 100, he could have taken and...
Very well.
How did you ascertain that what was in the envelope was 10,000 and not any other amount?
So in the process of asking what is the content of the envelope, he told me, hii ni 10,000 tuangushe hii kitu.
What is the clip is correct? The clip you saw?
That it was myself, yes.
And that you are, of course, you are the one who is saying what you are saying.
But Mr. Chairman, the clip does not say that I was approached with cash.
I want to apologize for having made those comments regarding the credibility of Parliament. So I do not have any specific member in mind.
The member had asked me to go to pick the money. Definitely I refused. And one other member from my neighboring constituents came and joined me on the table, the member for Butula, and we together said we cannot go to pick such money.
These are stories in the newspapers, written, and indeed, if there is any evidence on alleged speech from Honorable Barati, should be produced. In the basis of you have a number of electronic gadgets in the premises of Parliament for us to be able to get into the depth of this matter. Therefore, I want to say this is just a story on newspaper, and it stops there.
You do not vote for any accuracy?
I don't.
I see.
Unajua kuna press statement ambaye inaweza toka unikuliwe wewe ulikuwa pamoja nao wale walikuwa wanatoa press statement na wewe haukukuwa. Inawezekana inaweza fanyika hivyo?
Sasa kama ulikoma ilikuwa mambo ya unataka
kwa sababu bwana speaker
sikiza hakuna mabishano mheshimiwa Murunga.
Pia ninakujibu.
Hakuna mabishano na wewe bwana. Sikiza. Hapa unajua kuna heshima pia bado ni bunge.
Na mtazamaji, miezi mitatu iliyopita, Rais Uhuru Kenyatta alizindua sera maalum ya elimu unganifu, yani inclusive education, kwa manufaa ya walemavu. Ufanisi wa mfumo huu wa elimu utatoa fursa kwa watoto ambao wanasoma katika shule maalum za walemavu kuanza kushiriki masomo na watoto wengine wasiokuwa walemavu katika shule za kawaida. Katika eneo la Nyanza, baadhi ya shule zimeanzisha mfumo huo. Katika makala maalum ya elimu unganifu, tunaangazia ufanisi basi ubora na changamoto za mfumo huo wa elimu. Mtazamaji, ni makala ambayo nakuacha nayo. Mola akiridhia tukutane tena hapo kesho. Mimi ni Mary Kilobi, mtangazaji wa ishara ni Meresho Witi, na kutakia utazamaji mwema.
Rais Uhuru Kenyatta alipozindua sera ya elimu kwa wanafunzi walemavu mnamo mwezi Mei, alikusudia kuweka nyenzo zifaazo kwa ajili ya elimu sawa kwa wote. Ili kuifanikisha ajenda hii, rais aliziagiza wizara za fedha na elimu kushirikiana na wadau wengine kwa kusudi la kujenga vituo vya elimu nchini kote vitakavyotoa elimu kwa wanafunzi walemavu na wasiokuwa walemavu kwa usawa.
Opportunities for persons with disability in school and the workplace are more constrained as a result of stigma, discouragement, or constraints in terms of available facilities. But as an administration, we care for the welfare of all our citizens, and we cannot leave anyone behind, and we owe it to all disabled Kenyans to avail the opportunity to quality education, just as their able-bodied brothers and sisters.
70% of our children who have disability are in mainstream or regular schools, okay? So only 30%, paltry 30% are in special schools. So then a lot of emphasis needs to be put in regular schools. And as a project, we are working with the Ministry of Education, Directorate of Policy, to ensure that the teacher training policy, it's called the teacher training policy, is changed to reflect the need for teachers to have the requisite skills to handle children with disability at the pre-service level.
Upo mpango wa serikali kujenga shule na vituo 10 katika maeneo tofauti nchini kwa lengo la kurahisisha kuwatambua, kuwakagua na hatimaye kutoa mwongozo mwafaka wa kuwashughulikia watoto walemavu na wanaostahili kuwa shuleni.
I am directing the Ministry of Education, working together with the National Treasury and other stakeholders, to develop a Marshall Plan to establish the optimal number of institutions we need in the country so as to effectively cater for persons with disabilities.
Hii ni shule ya msingi ya Pandpieri iliyoko katika kaunti ya Kisumu. Ni mojawapo ya shule chache nchini inayoendesha elimu sawa kwa wote.
Eyes on me. Eyes on you.
Wapo wanafunzi 1350 shuleni humo, 75 wakiwa wanafunzi walemavu.
From the Education Act, every child is supposed to be in school. So these children, you cannot just keep them that one day we'll take them to those special schools. The parents cannot, some of the parents cannot afford to take them there.
Kipindi hiki cha masomo kinawahusisha wanafunzi walemavu na wasiokuwa walemavu. Wapo wanafunzi 64 walio na matatizo ya kuona, kusikia na changamoto za akili.
Through the training, we know how to handle them. And like in my class, I have this program called individual education program for each and every child. In fact, I have them in my file. So each individual is taken at their pace.
I prefer inclusion, but this one depends with the severity of the disability. There are some children who cannot learn in regular schools. They have to be in special schools. Let's say a child who is permanently on bedridden. This child cannot fit in inclusion. Yes, he has to be in a special school.
I have an experience with these children because they are in the mainstream. The inclusive education has really helped them, particularly with behavior change. Yeah, we do everything together. We stand at the same assembly. They can learn to stand and listen as long as the assembly takes. That is an improvement on their side. They dress well like we do. They adhere to the bells. Yeah. So they don't actually really move out at intervals between classes. So they adopt that behavior from the others. So you cannot know, even if you go to the classes, apart from those with physical disability, you do not know that this child has a disability. Yeah, so that is a positive thing that we have seen with inclusive education.
Katika shule ya msingi ya St. Vitalis Nanga, mwalimu Monica Okoto ni msimamizi wa kitengo cha elimu sawa kwa wote. Hawa ni baadhi ya wanafunzi walio na ulemavu. Na hiki ni kipindi maalum cha masomo ya ziada kwa wanafunzi hawa.
Normally they are in classes with other children in the regular class, but I only withdraw them at times when I have time, and especially in the evening, I get time to teach them numeracy and literacy so as to catch up with the others. As you saw them, they are in different classes. There are others in class 5, class 6, and class 8, because we want them to exit and finish with others, but we give them this special attention on numeracy and literacy to help them catch up with others.
Mwalimu mkuu wa shule hii anasema kuwafungia wanafunzi na watoto walemavu katika shule maalum ni kuwabagua na kuwatenga.
These people are just normal. Like if they are physically handicapped, the brain is intact. By the way, the brain is intact. You only need to make the infrastructure good for them so they can reach the classroom. The moment they reach the classroom and they sit in class, they are normal. They can be able to learn. The blind, for example, you know, visually handicapped people. You only remove the idea of they can't see. So what you write, they cannot see. But once you provide them with braille, okay, they'll be able to type their work.
Lakini kipo kilio cha mishahara na marupurupu kwa walimu wanaoendesha elimu sawa kwa wote.
The teachers who are in regular schools and especially where learners with disabilities are included are doing the same work that the teachers who are in special schools are doing. And it is a high time they should also give these teachers the special allowance that they give to the teachers in special schools.
Maybe going forward, from now going forward, the Teacher Service Commission will be looking at, together with the other government sectors, how to bring out the issue of disabilities, inclusive learning in the schools, to ensure that even those teachers in the regular schools handling such issues are actually encouraged by getting something like their counterparts in the special schools.
Alipokuwa akizindua sera ya elimu kwa walemavu, Rais Uhuru Kenyatta alikariri umuhimu wa kuitekeleza sera hiyo mara moja ili kuwawezesha wanafunzi na watoto walemavu kushiriki katika ujenzi wa taifa.
Currently we have not had a very clear policy, but the Teacher Service Commission is alive to the fact that inclusive learning is very important because basically most of the children, some of them who have not even been identified, have disabilities.
The current policy, sector policy on education for learners and trainees with disabilities that was launched by our President on 25th of June is, if it comes to effect, we are glad that this country will go inclusive and every child that is not accessing education will access education.
Shule ya upili ya wasichana ya Ahero katika kaunti ya Kisumu ni kituo maalum cha elimu sawa kwa wote. Wapo wanafunzi 1100 shuleni humo, 102 wakiwa wanafunzi walemavu.
Sometimes when you see my hearing aids using batteries, so when the battery is over, I find it difficult because I can't hear very well.
Mfumo wa elimu sawa kwa wote umekubalika pakubwa miongoni mwa wanafunzi na walimu katika shule hii. Yote hayo kutokana na hamasisho la chama cha wanafunzi unaopigania mfumo huu wa elimu.
If you look at what the situation that was before, where these children with disability were either hidden or were not given opportunity to access education. So by the mere fact that we really did a lot of community sensitization, we really talk to the parents and just to ensure that we tell them that there is need for the girls with disability also to be given opportunity. like any other girl or any other child with no disability. So we really registered an overwhelming enrollment in the schools that we work in. And if you look at the schools during the GSC1, there are also particular schools that even had higher enrollment of children with disability who are not necessarily supported by the project, but because of the infrastructural modification that we did in school, because of the sensitization that we did with the teachers, because of the C2C clubs, the peer support that we ensured that happens in school, that these children were motivated to come to school and learn.
Sensitization should be done in the whole nation so that they are aware that we are the learners with disability or children with disability finally will end up working or living in the society where every other person is.
When you go to a special school, you won't feel that much of love. You'll feel like you're discriminated and then placed in somewhere. You're just picked and then placed there. You won't get to socialize. You won't get to learn others. You won't get to know how to live with the rest. And so you're just born and then kept there, you know.
Right at Form 1, the girls know the type of school they are getting into. And once in a while at those orientation times, we even invite these special cases to welcome the younger sisters into school. And that has helped these girls fit so well into the environment. And there's no single time you'll get a case where a girl feels rejected, feels isolated. In fact, you'll find one girl, like last year we had a completely visually impaired. We'll have 3 girls trying to help, or even more.
By 15th of October, we should be done with all our activities.
Licha ya msichana huyu kutokuwa na ulemavu wote, alikusudia kujifunza lugha ya ishara kwa madhumuni ya kuwafaa wanafunzi wenzake walio na ulemavu wa kusikia.
Sikuenda katika shule yoyote, lakini ni mwalimu alikuwa anamfunza huyu msichana wakiwa darasani. Nikaona venye alikuwa anamfanya, nikajaribu kufanya kisha nikajikuta nimejua.
The reason why it is called the Inclusive Club, we include those people who are not also disabled, but those who are also able.
This policy must be implemented quickly and effectively. And in this regard, the Cabinet Secretary of Education is required to establish and equip the educational assessment resource centers countrywide and provide competent personnel, as well as specialized equipment and technologies to operationalize this policy so that no child with disability is left behind.
And after this institution, they are always very, it is easy for them to fit in the outside world, because in the outside world they will interact with everybody. So this prepares them for their life in future. It prepares them for the other responsibilities, because the girls also encourage them that you must be independent.
When they are included, they compete so much against the other children, and then at times they do better than the other children. They see that, oh, so disability is not inability.
Katika shule maalum ya Joyland katika kaunti ya Kisumu, upo mwendelezo wa elimu sawa kote. Kwa miaka mingi shule hii imetambulika kuwa shule ya ulemavu pekee. Lakini miaka ya hivi majuzi kumeshuhudiwa mabadiliko makubwa, na sasa upo mseto wa wanafunzi walemavu na wasiokuwa walemavu.
They benefit more when they are in an inclusive system rather than the integration. Integration was also a philosophy at a given time, but now slightly it has been overtaken by events, such that the inclusive philosophy is the current one, and that is what.
When now they learn alongside the learners with disability, they come to realize that disability is just a condition.
Lazima nitoe kitu ati hakuna cha mwenye na ulemavu na ameshapita mtihani, hadi sasa lazima aende tu in a special school, but unapata wenye amepass vizuri wanaenda hizo shule kama Alliance, na si mbona tunanyimwa hizi chance.
Ili kufanikisha mwendelezo wa elimu sawa kwa wote, chuo cha ufundi cha Ndere kilichoka kaunti ya Siaya huwapokea wanafunzi walemavu na wasiokuwa walemavu.
The government should consider children with disability, either whether they are in these inclusive schools or whether they are in the special school, all the other schools, they should look for them and they consider them for sponsorship. Yeah, because some of them, they undergo hardship.
Umaskini miongoni mwa jamii nyingi umetajwa kwa kikwazo kikubwa katika kuwashughulikia watoto walemavu. Baadhi ya wazazi hawana uwezo wa kuyashughulikia mahitaji ya watoto wao. Ni kutokana na hali ndipo baadhi ya mashirika yamekuwa ikiwaelimisha wazazi kuhusu biashara na njia mbadala za kujiimarisha kiuchumi.
Uzito iko, lakini tunajimudu tu. Isipokuwa uchumi ni ngumu, lakini tunajimudu. Kwa kibiashara tunapata kidogo ndio, lakini chenye tunapata tunajimudu naye mtoto. Isipokuwa wako na kazi ngumu, inatakikana ukae na at least kitu unafanya ndio wakae sawa.
Kenya inakadiriwa kuwa na watu milioni 4 wanaoishi na ulemavu. Milioni 2.8 wakiwa watoto na vijana walio na umri wa kati ya mwaka 1 na miaka 24.
It's about human rights, and everybody, if you're doing something, you first think of how about if there was somebody here who is deaf and is not hearing, then we need at least an interpreter. How about if somebody came here and he sees somebody, a worker, for instance in the environment, who is blind? That person needs, if there are computers in that office, then that computer should be having voice synthesizer, so that as the person is writing, the computer is also speaking.
Hata hivyo, mikakati na juhudi za kuanzisha mfumo na sera ya elimu sawa kwa wote inatarajia kuliziba pengo la upungufu usababishao na ulemavu, hivyo kukuza usawa na hali ya kujitegemea kupitia elimu. Shadrack Michi, KTN News.